So a California school district has suspended a high school student after racist images that included nooses drawn around the necks of a black student and a coach appeared on his social media site. So what's interesting about this is that a federal lawsuit has been filed saying that the district has gone too far. A little bit more about that. The lawsuit filed on Monday represents 4 other Albany high school students, 3 of them Asian, who say they were suspended after or commenting on the Instagram account or indicating that they liked the post. You know, you click like, it's sort of a mindless thing that people do. Now, how far-reaching can this go? Schools have broad authority under federal law to limit free speech at schools that they consider disruptive, according to First Amendment scholars. But courts have disagreed about whether schools can punish students for off-campus speech that causes disruptions at school. A more likely scenario these days with the reach of social media. So basically, how far can the school district go when a student is no longer in school, but obviously still enrolled in that school? This brings up a larger conversation that I wanted to run by you guys. So people are talking about are likings or likes or are liking something. Is it too ambiguous to decide if a student is exercising their right to free speech, which of course they are allowed to have, or if they are making threats against another classmate? Remembering that the post in question did show a coach at the school and another student that was enrolled at the school. So if you like something, if you comment on it, like where is the line here?
Yeah, so I think that when it comes to liking something, it's a difficult question because simply liking something doesn't necessarily tell you much or tell you enough about the intentions of the person. So I'll give you a quick example. So there was a reporter who had written a piece about the icy relationship between Donald Trump and Melania Trump. And Melania Trump's Twitter account, official Twitter account, very briefly liked it. Okay, she had only liked like one other tweet apparently, and then so she briefly liked it and then unliked it. Okay, but he had already gotten a screenshot, put it out there, and everyone was talking about it. And so the reason why I didn't think that it was worth reporting or talking about was because it's very easy to like something or unintentionally like something on social media. I've done it where I'm like just scrolling through with my smartphone and then my thumb hits the wrong thing and then all of a sudden I've accidentally liked something on Twitter or I've liked something on Instagram. It happens all the time. So I just feel like, especially with Instagram, right? People have accidentally liked things all the time, so you don't know the clear intentions of the person who liked it. And I think it goes too far if someone had liked something controversial or hateful. When they're not in school, this is after school hours. It's too broad.
It's too broad. That's where I'm coming down on this. It's too broad. We don't really know the intention. What I would liken it to is, let's say that the one student puts on a speech which is absolutely hate speech against other students. Because I think the image in question, from what it is being described as, it's not ambiguous. That is definitely a hateful image. But if other students were to attend that speech, does that in turn mean that they are complicit in this hate speech? And that's where I don't, because that's what liking it is. You're basically showing someone like, I'm here. When someone says that a loved one passes away on Facebook, people will like it, not being like, yeah, I'm so happy that your loved one passed away, but more like, I'm here, I'm present, I'm
acknowledging you, yeah.
So to me, it's just these students were acknowledging that their presence, seeing the photo.
On Twitter, it used to be, and I've done it, I used to do it, but I don't do it anymore, but I'm curious whether it's true on Instagram, which I don't really use. Might you like something to be able to refer back to it, like you used to?
This is on Instagram.
I know, but you can. There's a section in Instagram where you can go back and see posts that you've liked. So there have been instances where someone has, like, if it's a fashion blogger and she's wearing something that I think is interesting and I want to look into it, I'll like it just so I can go back and find it. Yeah. So that's the thing. You don't know why someone liked it. You don't know if they intentionally liked it. You don't know what they meant when they liked it. And I think it does go too far for, the officials or the administrators at the school to just outright suspend someone or expel someone based on liking a post.
But what about the person who created the image?
Well, the person who created the image, look, the whole reason why the First Amendment has some restrictions for students in a school setting is because administrators and teachers, educators, need to be put in a position where they keep everyone in that school safe, right? It's for safety concerns. And so if this activity is happening outside of school, but it could translate to safety concerns during school hours, I think that, I think school officials do have a strong case to take action against a student who creates an image of someone, in a noose and,
It's super hard. I think it's
hard.
Really, really, really hard. I don't think that, first, the law is really ambiguous, as you said, Grace. And there's a free speech professor at UCLA, Eugene Volokh, who says likes are ambiguous and they could be saying this is funny, I agree with it, or I don't agree, but I want to stand up for your right to say it, all the things we've been saying. My hunch is that a reasonable court would find that it's far too ambiguous to suspend the students.
Yep.
Free speech, of course, the free speech clause of the First Amendment, that the government can make no law, people can make a law, but schools are kind of the government.
They are the government.
Yeah,
if it's a public school,
it's a public school. So I don't think you can suspend these kids, and I'm not sure you can suspend the person who created the image. Although unquestionably, and I'm torn about that. You could certainly suspend him. I would say. I don't know whether you can expel him.
Right.
To your point, no question that the school can act on it. They can call them in. They can because they have a duty to make sure that the next day a bunch of kids who saw that aren't ready to fight back. And even though I wouldn't be blaming the kids who want to fight back. I'd be blaming the kid who made the post in the first place. But it's a tricky thing, man, and we don't want schools significantly abridging free speech. The question is, of course, what is significant?
Yeah, I think at the very least, this is a case of cyberbullying, which schools should absolutely do what they can to prevent.
Right.
But more and more, we're going to see where do they draw the line when students sort of like something or acknowledge something. And I think that they are right to crack down on online harassment and to show that there will be consequences for this sort of behavior as kids really take on second lives outside of school online. But as far as what they can do legally, we're gonna see laws change so much, I think, within the next 5 to 10 years about the bounds of what a school can oversee and control.
I'm torn about cyberbullying. I get it. I know why you want to stop it. You should stop it. I don't know about the punishment. Schools should take an active role in teaching about it.
Treat it like bullying. That's what I think.
I got it. It's just tricky. Bullying is, yeah. I mean, but what's the correct? But we're writing. The difference is bullying. If you shove someone, we know what that is, right? It's it's either violence or it's extortion. Like pay me your lunch money or I will hit you, right? But if it's just insulting them, then we are legislating what's in people's heads. And that is one of the, I don't like a slippery slope argument in general. But that is a slippery slope when you're letting school administrators decide.
But it's more than what's in your head.
It's more than words. It's way more than words. We started seeing the beginning of this when I was in high school. A girl sent her boyfriend at the time photos of herself in a compromised position, and he leaked them to a website, sent it out to the entire school. That's an action. That's not just him making fun of her.
But that's an action. That's a privacy violation. That's an action. I am talking about words. I am just talking about words.
But so that sort of thing leads to words that people are saying. I do think that, there's such a thing as verbal violence. I understand that we need to be clear on what that can be because physical violence and verbal violence are not the same thing, but they still, in the vulnerable mind of a hormonal teenager, which we have all been, it can send you spiraling. So I think it is important that we be mindful of the changes.
So let me be clear. I 100% agree with you, and schools have to attack it and deal with it. I'm not sure what the answer is. I don't know about expelling people or punishing the aggressor for what is in their head or what came out of their mouth. Now we know that free speech is limited. We've limited.
It's especially limited on a school campus.
And that's a significant difference. But throwing somebody out of school for the things for liking it, it seems like we all kind of agree that that's probably too much. But this conversation, because we all would like there never to be any more cyberbullying and get that it's important. I worry about school administrators sitting around and determining which words hurt, and the standard will be different in Detroit, and it'll be different in Tuscaloosa, and it'll be different in Omaha, and it'll be different in Los Angeles, and it'll be different in Seattle, and it's troubling and challenging, and I don't know what the results are. Mostly talking about it is probably helpful.
Corporate media is awesome.
Wrong.
Independent media is the way to go.
Believe me. Believe me.
Support independent media right now. Become a Young Turks member. TYTnetwork.com/join.